This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
I'm all alone. I feel so all alone. Thank you. We got one person clapping today, Peter. You're supposed to cheer people on for me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to Wahoo Willie's, everybody. Another great day on Fort Myers Beach, and the sun is coming out. I see the blue skies out this window. And just to let everybody know, Kim is not here today, so I'm going to drop the F-bomb like there's no tomorrow. And I'm going to get slapped later, but I'm going to put up with it now. And no, I'm not going to say the F-bomb at all, because I have total respect for the mayor, and I would never do that in his presence. But she's been under the weather the last week or so, and she actually took a day off of work. She was that sick. And so I said, listen, I think I can handle the show today. You take the day off, and we're going to go watch the Super Bowl at Margaritas tonight and help those guys out. So that's why there was no bike ride today. But I think she's going to do the bike ride on Wednesdays now. So she come down during the week, do a little sunset video, and do the bike ride on Wednesday. So that's why she's not here today. And I did want to also tell you that we have set up, this is permit pending, as long as we get the permit from the town of Fort Myers Beach, although they've always been great to us, on March the 2nd at the Women's Club property at Sterling Avenue, 175 Sterling. We are going to have Stephen Clark and Chasing Denver on stage and 3 or 4 food trucks. So save the date, please. It's going to be a $10 donation to the Women's Club. It's a fundraiser for them. Tomorrow we're going to raise some money on the Facebook to try and pay for the expenses, which you guys are always great and donating. And then on March the 2nd, we're going to have a little fun on the south end, permit pending, of course. And we hope you can all come out for that. There's going to be plenty of parking. Take care, guys. Thanks for coming. And great artists, Stephen Clark and Chasing Denver, 2 of the local favorites. So stay tuned for more information about that coming up in the next few days on Facebook. And before we introduce the mayor and get right to it, I want to let you know that one of the reasons that we're able to do this show is for our great sponsors like Tri-Town Construction. Tri-Town Construction has a sales center right here on Fort Myers Beach at 1750 Estero Boulevard. And they are offering modular and typical home construction, including ISC block. Because if you're building a house, you sure as hell want ISC block, whatever that is. Sounds pretty solid to me. Homegrown and here to stay. They're rebuilding Southwest Florida. And you can call them right now because they're sitting in their vehicle waiting for you to call at 239-895-2058. That's 239-895-2058. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for your mayor, Dan Allers. Now in his 2nd year as the mayor of Fort Myers Beach. Yep, you got it. And
all right, perfect.
Also the proud owner of Island Carts FMB, or was it a co-ownership?
Co-ownership, yeah.
Tell us about the business real quick, how it's going.
It's going, better than we expected. Obviously, it's not as good as it was before the storm, but we're learning some new things. We're seeing that the length of rental has changed a little from before the storm.
What do you mean? What's the difference?
Well, before it was about a 4-day average rental. Now we seem to be getting more 1- and 2-day rentals.
Okay.
Which is fine. Obviously the longer you rent it, it's just like, the cheaper the daily rate gets. So we're seeing a lot of turnover, which is good, which means people are still coming and using it. And I don't know if the hotels are seeing that same model as we are, but it's a good indication that we're trying to get our name back out there. We were well on our way before the storm. We started with 4 carts back in December of 2021. And by the time the storm hit, we were up to 15. So
you lost them all.
We lost them all. Yep. We actually had them off island at what is now Buttonwood, as everybody knows. And the water got just high enough in there where it got the motors and the brakes. So it took them all out. And, we had a year that we were trying to all get through whatever we had to figure out. And we started back up in November. We now have 21 carts.
Wow.
So we're,
and I see you got one out here. So if anyone,
I just picked it up from the south end, which is nice. We're starting to get some rentals on the south end of the island, which tells me people are starting to get back down on the south end, which is nice. I think once we can get Santini open and businesses in there, that'll really, really boost that south end. 7-Eleven should hopefully be open here by the end of the month. Or
right, you're going too fast now. You're skipping over very important
Sorry,
things.
Taking over your show, Ed.
The 7-Eleven
Yeah.
is the one across from Santini that will have gas, and it could open this month, right? End of this month or early next month?
Well, we had a meeting with FPL this week, and it sounds like it's probably going to be the first week of March because of power issues, waiting for transformers to come in. So we expressed to them how important it was to get that open as soon as possible, and that's a high priority for us. So if we're lucky, they'll get it done, depending on when 7-Eleven's ready for it too.
Mm-hmm.
But
they've been working crazy on that building.
They've been doing a great job, and you see on the one on Pine Ridge Road,
Yeah.
they're really going to
Finally.
Well, it took them forever to get their permit, is what I heard. But
no kidding.
Yeah,
but
so
that's Lee County, so a little
that's not
jab in
us.
there. I like that. I
it's
like
not
it.
a jab. It's
And, it was so weird because it seemed like it was so far away. The minute you went over the bridge, you
Yeah.
felt like things were kind of like normal, and it seemed like that 7-Eleven, no one was ever working on it.
No, it was, they were waiting. When we talked to 7-Eleven people, they were telling us they were just like everywhere else,
Sure.
waiting for permits. So they're really going to town on it now. You could see, I went by the other day and the power was lit up to the sign. So they've obviously got power back to the location. So it looks like they're moving along pretty good. I think more options for gas is certainly going to help. We're doing a 2-for-1 sale.
No, we're not doing
Oh.
it. Peter's going to help you right here. Peter, if you need something, he's going to.
Sorry,
Peter,
Kim.
come on, Peter, help out there.
Just Kim, and we got to pay for Kim's medication. That's
medication. Wait, she's not on
It's
medication.
pay for 3, get 2 deal.
So speaking of medication, I need to tell a quick story. Like I went back to the ear, nose, and throat doctor this past week because I had this smell in my nose that I couldn't get rid of. It smelled like there was fire. And so I thought maybe it was a sinus infection. And so I go to the ear, nose, and throat guy. He gets me in, he does a scope. He made me get a CAT scan and the whole thing of my sinus. And everything's normal. I don't have a tumor. So Stephen Clark is not going to take over the show because I have a brain tumor or anything like that. So I stopped eating ground turkey. And he said one of the things could be something you're eating. And the smell, I haven't had the smell since I stopped eating ground turkey. So I wonder if it was the tryptophan in the ground turkey that was making the smell in my nose smell like fire. What do you think?
First of all, why are you eating ground turkey?
I eat it every day.
My wife loves ground turkey
Yeah.
too. She'll put turkey in anything. I
Every
grew up
day.
in the Midwest.
I eat it in my eggs. I eat it.
Potato people.
Yeah, I eat it with refried beans. I eat it. Now I'm not eating it anymore if it makes the smell go away. But so he thinks it's just allergies. I don't have.
Well, that explains why you go to sleep so early too.
I don't know what explains that except for old age.
The
but,
tryptophan, maybe. I don't know.
it could be the tryptophan.
No, turkey's good. Megan makes probably some of the best spaghetti sauce I've ever had, and she puts ground turkey in it.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
I love it. I love it. But if I have to give it up for that smell, I'm giving it up for that smell. But enough about me, Dan. Let's get back to what you're doing. You mentioned Santini Plaza. Do you know anything new about that? I know the vice mayor is really working hard on that. But
No, he is. We did get the light, or the county, I should say, got the light up and running at Linnell Road, right by Santini Plaza, which was close to being done before the storm hit, and obviously things got pushed back. So thank you to the county for getting that light up. We were up in DC when Vice Mayor Ederholt went and took a video of it and sent it to all of us while we were up there. So it was nice to see that that's working, and people are certainly thankful for that. But as far as when they're going to open, I have not heard anything.
the thing that was weird is that they keep saying to me that you can't even put food trucks in the parking lot because something in the parking lot. Is it the lighting or is it
It could be power. They could be waiting for power issues. I don't understand. I saw your post about not being able to have food trucks in the parking lot, but I don't understand why it has to be a power.
Seems
thing
like
to
it's
be
safe to me. I mean, even if they're just during the day.
Well,
but
they've got the fencing up, and I know that that's some of the issue, but it's at the end of the day, when the landowner is ready for it, it sounds like they're going to roll it out. So
yeah, and it would be like popping the balloon a little bit on this end of the island if something like that opened on the south end.
I don't think it'll pop the balloon. I think it'll alleviate a lot of the things we're hearing about. Obviously, the traffic. If you're on the south end of the island, you're coming down to enjoy the beach and you're coming down to enjoy the water. You have no options to eat other than Publix North. So having some options down there, I think, would help alleviate the traffic. People that can't ride a bike or they don't want to get in their car and sit in traffic to go an hour or whatever to get to the north end of the island to eat. So I think business wise, it might pop the bubble a little bit, but I think it's nice. I was just talking with Peter before the show that, being here since the storm and some of the businesses as they open, it's nice, it's nice that they're open, but it's nice to have another one open to give you more options.
Yeah.
You can now start spreading it around a little bit. And I think that's what you'll see. You may see a little bit of dip on the north end, some of the businesses, but all the business owners I talk to, especially on the north end, are excited about things that are opening up because it just helps. It's a strain on staff too. It helps. People aren't going to eat at one place all the time every day, so they're going to walk around, especially if they're here for a week.
Yeah. So last Monday, you guys tried to add a fifth town council person. Didn't go. It didn't happen because we couldn't find a third vote. I think you're going to have the vote again, or you may or may not have the vote again. I know you guys will decide on Thursday of this week. Do you want to take the vote if you know for sure you're going to have a third person, or you want to go through it again when you don't know? I mean, I know you can't know because you can't talk to each other. You can't try and flip each other's votes, or do you want to just say, okay, listen, it's not going to work. We're going to just wait until the voters decide. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like you said, we can't talk to each other. So I don't know what everybody else's mindset is or who they've talked to or who they haven't talked to. And maybe some have changed their minds. Maybe they haven't. But
well, I can tell you without.
I don't want to even hear it, quite honestly.
I'll tell everybody after.
Everybody, but everybody
has now, is this legal behind us right now? I mean, this seems like something that should be on the dumbassery post.
Maybe they got a dead battery and they're just trying to jump.
That could be it, a dead battery. Yeah.
Don't want to jump.
When you have a car like that, you can park wherever the hell you want. That's what it looks like. So,
well,
All right, back to the sorry.
No, I think we'll talk to the council, when we get in that meeting, and I think maybe we'll have a vote to see if nothing has changed. Then I think it's proper to discuss why you're choosing that person, and then you discuss it. This is why I'm selecting this person, and if it's
which you guys really didn't do last week. You just went through the votes.
We didn't, and part of it was wanting to make sure everybody was there to be able to have a chance to talk to the council. We all know all the people. We have all talked to all the people. We've all seen their resumes and the stuff they've submitted. But I think if it doesn't, have a vote. This is just my opinion, but we'll see what the council thinks. But you have a vote at the beginning, and if nothing has changed, then you have a discussion as to why you're choosing them, and you have another vote. And if it still stays the way it is, I mean, you push against a wall too many times, it's not going to go anywhere. And we'll have to have that discussion on what to do next. But everybody has chosen who they've chosen for a reason, and some may decide to choose based on comments from other council members, or maybe the first vote. It's hard to say. So the problem is there's nothing in the charter that dictates exactly. And I think going forward, maybe we need to have a little bit better process put in place throughout, to be able
All right,
to,
everybody. The word of the day is process. Everybody has to drink.
Hey,
the first time.
I thought it was secret.
I know, but I forgot to write it down for everybody. So, if you say that, everyone's going to get drunk. So
I'm trying to survey the crowd here.
Is it your, would you like to see, okay, we'll take a vote, and then, because you didn't discuss each candidate last time, would you like to see maybe a discussion about, okay, maybe if I talk about this person, that way I could convince somebody to come over to my side, or convince somebody to get a third vote? Is that what you would like to see happen?
No, I don't think it's about convincing people. I think we owe it to the constituents to be able to say, if for some reason it's a deadlock thing like it was last time, why you're choosing that person. I think the people want to hear it. You put it out there, and if it convinces somebody because you have a reason one way or another, then it changes. But if it doesn't, then it is what it is, and we'll have to talk to the attorney. I mean, I think we all agree that having 5 is better than having 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we've had an issue with deadlock votes going forward, but we're still 7 months or so away from November. And we'll see what happens. I think Sanibel has in their rules, or they have to have a runoff or something. It's different than what we do. So maybe we need to look at that going forward. But I don't think we drag it out too long. We have a vote. If there's nobody there, then let's have a discussion. And if nothing changes, then
let the voters decide in November.
I don't know what else you can do, quite honestly. I mean, if people aren't going to change their vote, or they're not going to change their mind, then what else is there to do?
Are you going to change your vote?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do. You just don't want to share it, but this is fine.
No, I will tell you, and it's the same thing I would say at the meeting on Thursday, is I think it's important to have someone that has been involved with our local codes. I think now is a very, very important time to have someone that has been through the process, understands what exactly is going on. Every single person that put their application in is very well qualified for
sure.
different reasons. They all have different reasons as to why they want to run for that open seat. Some may want to run. To me, it doesn't matter if they want to run or they don't want to run.
Right.
That's no bearing on my vote. But I think it's important to have someone that has been able to be involved, especially since the hurricane, with making some of the decisions one way or another. And everybody knows my vote. I voted for Jim simply because I think Jim has the most experience. He has been involved in other municipalities that maybe weigh a little bit different, maybe gives him a little bit different perspective than those of us that have been engrossed since the hurricane. So that's why I chose Jim. But I'm certainly, that's the same thing I'm going to say on Thursday if we get to that point after the vote. But we'll see what everybody else has to say.
Yeah, and I think the good news for the residents is that you guys aren't usually a 2-2 vote on things. It's you kind of are in sync with what's going on.
Yeah, I think this council,
even
when Councilor Veach was on, I think it was nice. Everybody has kind of a different background and a different personality and a different look on things. But even Councilor Veach, I mean, he would say something, I've said this before, sometimes he would say things going into a meeting, you always have an idea of how you may vote based on your research and what you've done. But sometimes in a meeting, if you're objective and you listen to what someone else that maybe doesn't have the same perspective that you do, it might give you like, wow, it's always nice to hear a different voice or a different point of view. And you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And if you were on a fence or something, or you were on the fence one way or another before you went into a meeting, that might sway you one way or another. So having a discussion, I think, is important.
So the other thing that happened with you last week is you went to Washington, D.C. to try and come back with, did you come back with any bags of money?
We did not. We had, I'll tell you, the meetings that we had went far better than any of us expected.
Really?
It was
Who'd you meet with?
It was Frankie, Andy, and myself that went up. We met with all of our legislators. We met with Senator Rubio, Senator Scott, Congressman Donalds, and we met with HUD. So those were the 4 meetings that we specifically wanted to have.
Did you go to the Capitol and meet with them in their offices?
No. So this was my first time there. So I didn't know if we were going to go to the Capitol. So if you're looking at the front of the Capitol, on the right-hand side is where the House of Representatives have their buildings outside of the Capitol.
Oh.
On the left-hand side is where the Senate buildings are, and there's 2 buildings there on either
Did you feel
side.
like rioting when you got there?
No, certainly
Nothing like that at all? You
certainly
didn't want to just...
I mean, we got a lot of steps in. I mean, being an exercise guy, we walked 5 miles every day that we were there. So, I mean, we got some good steps in.
Was anything caged off?
We thought we were going to have to.
Frankie's got it. We got to get him. We got to get more steps in for Frankie.
Yeah, well, he did great. He didn't. I think we took a taxi the last day twice, but other than that, we walked everywhere. So it was interesting to see and get to meet with all of them. Like I said, I thought all the meetings went very, very well. This is the first time we've asked for federal appropriations.
How much did you ask for?
We've asked for $10 million. We've asked for $2 million.
Peanuts.
Well, we've asked for
That's one bomb.
Well, we've asked for $2 million for the North Tower that is held together by chicken wire and vice grips, and then we asked for $8 million for stormwater infrastructure. And we explained to them, before the storm, we were going to have roughly $65 million in our SRF loans through the state.
What does SRF stand for?
State Revolving Fund.
Okay.
It's a low interest loan through the state that allows you to pay back. That you have to pay back, certainly. And now that we have it set up, the users pay for that fund. It comes out of that fund to pay for it. But, that was before the storm. Now we know after the storm how much stuff costs. We could be looking at upwards of $80 to $100 million in infrastructure repairs. So we asked them, we've learned along the way to not ask for more than you could spend in the year that which you're asking for it. So we could easily spend $8 million to try to get some of these tier 1 side streets up and running and help pay for that, help alleviate the taxpayers what they have to pay in to be able to get these side streets, fixed with the stormwater.
Was it intimidating to be in that kind of atmosphere with those muckety mucks?
It wasn't, honestly. I mean, the only person that didn't physically meet with us was Senator Rubio. He had a conflict. He couldn't be there, but his staffers were there.
I see.
I've met with Senator Scott several times. I've obviously met with Congressman Donald several times.
Does it make you want to run for the House of Representatives
I don't know.
What?
I'll tell you, there was a lot going on up there. There was, with the Mayorkas thing and
Mayorkas, the impeachment thing.
Yeah, the Mayorkas
and Biden forgetting everything.
There was a lot going on up there. So, timing probably wasn't ideal for us, but they were very
Supreme Court. Did you see the Supreme Court? you
We
see
did
the
not. We
building?
didn't have time.
That was-
we
I
didn't
listened to the whole thing. Did you listen to any of it?
have,
I was so
there's one-
enamored by the Supreme Court listening to that.
When you're in the hotel at night, I mean, the only thing you can really listen to is C-SPAN or
No kidding.
or CNN or MSNBC.
Were you
or,
pro or anti Bay of Pigs? I watched.
Who doesn't like bacon? Right?
I watched another documentary last night
I
about
know
the
you're
Bay of
still
Pigs. I'm
enamored.
so I'm now and I downloaded a biography of Khrushchev because the whole thing. I know I'm sidetracking the whole thing.
No,
Did you see any Russians when you were in D.C.? Were there
No,
any Russian
no,
spies around? Or
it's very interesting for me for being the first time in DC. It's you get that awe because you've seen it so many times
on TV? Yeah.
But just the respect of the area,
Yeah.
just the respect
Right.
of the history. We were able to go up in the Washington Monument between our meetings and
Cool.
take some pictures, and I shared some of those on Facebook, and it was very interesting just to see the people. We
How many followers you got on Facebook?
Not as many as you.
You should have shared that with us if you wanted anybody to see it. Did you take Megan?
I mean,
with you?
no, Megan.
Oh,
didn't say
that's
that,
not
but
right. Come on,
it's
man.
a business trip. We were up there all about trying to bring back money. Like I was
She
saying,
could probably convince people to bring back money.
Well, Megan and I want to make a trip up there because we're both into history. We
Yeah.
both love, monuments. We both love museums. We both love things like that. So we definitely are going to go back. It was a little chilly. It wasn't bad, but there was no lines for anything, which was nice. So
You have a fast pass for the lines? What lines are you talking about? What do you get lines
so
to go with?
museums
Oh, I
have
see.
lines, and it's I guess
Gotcha.
it reminds me of the last time I was up at Disney.
Yeah.
Because you paid or you can scan your thing and then you get a time. You could select a time.
No kidding.
So
For the museums.
for the museum, so you
Wow.
get a 9:30, 10:30, whatever.
I didn't
and then
know
you get
that.
in line.
I'm not a museum person, dear.
You're not?
No.
I'll tell you, I'm not a huge museum person, but I'm very much into history and I'm very much about learning. So walking through something like that is, especially when it comes to American history, it's very, very interesting to see. We did walk by, the World War II memorial,
Did you go
the
by the
Vietnam
Vietnam?
War- Vietnam.
That is crazy to see that.
Yeah. So when you're looking out the where the Washington Monument is, the World War II is the first one that you come to, and then off to the right of that and then straight out from it is the Lincoln Memorial, and then off to the right is the Vietnam, and then off to the left is the Korean War one, which was very, very impressive as well. So you walk by them and it's just that sombering.
Yeah.
You remember all the people that have fought and died for your right to be able to
The whole
go
Vietnam
and voice
thing.
your opinion.
That plays into the Kennedy years, of course, but the whole Vietnam thing is like it almost probably should have never happened kind of thing when you research all the history. But
well, the one thing I didn't know about the Vietnam Memorial, because I had never been there, was beside each name there's a symbol. There's a diamond or there's a plus, and that depicts whether or not they were either confirmed dead or
missing in action. No,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I didn't know that either. So because I was wondering what are the little symbols beside it, and that's if you do a little research on it, that's what it's about.
Every kid in America should be required to walk by that wall or all those walls and realize how great they got it here in this country.
I'll tell you, when you do walk by those memorials, it sends chills through your body.
Yeah.
And it just makes you, respect the people that have fought so hard
Yeah.
for us to be able to sit here and do what we're doing today.
And Dave Skoog was telling me that they have a replica of the Vietnam Memorial that they're taking to Minnesota, and it's a huge thing that they, you have to go through these gigantic hoops to get it, because it really is a big deal for them to move it and for them to have a big event, and so for people to be able to see the replica of the memorial is,
and to see it during the day and then to see it at night, it's like two totally different experiences.
No kidding.
It's at night, it's almost it's even more majestic. It seems like it's during the day you walk by and it just seems like a day like today when you're walking around, and then at night when everything's illuminated, it just feels so much different.
So Kansas City or San Francisco?
Either one.
Yeah. Are you betting on the game tonight?
No, I'll probably do a couple squares or something, but
cool.
So I'm not a huge gambler.
Well, if you go over to this bar right now, this group right here, gigantic gamblers. They're trying to get on an app to gamble on the games. They're trying to figure out the coin toss, the coin toss.
You get the 100 square boards.
Yeah.
You could give me 99 spaces.
You'll be the loser.
And the one that has the one space will win all 4 quarters.
Yeah,
That's
I don't gamble. I used to gamble, but I realized there's a reason why a casino has never closed. And so I decided that I was on the wrong
anyone
side
that's
of
ever
that.
lost any, I've never been a huge gambler. So if I lose $100 to me, I'm like, I know how long
That's
it took to make that
$100.
$100.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, it's
So-
like 7 shows for me to do $100. I mean,
It'd be 14 for me.
so speaking of nighttime, let's get an update on the Estero Boulevard lights that
Yeah,
are
perfect,
have
yeah.
been in the works for 2 decades.
Well, I'll tell you, on Friday we were able to sit down with FPL and their upper management staff. Charlotte Miller, who's been our kind of point of contact, was there as well, and it was a very good conversation. We were able to let them know some challenges that we were having and our residents are having and our condos are having, and for them, they were telling us some of the challenges, and it seemed like there was just a simple breakdown. We've asked them to provide us with a both commercial and residential form as to what steps you need to do to make sure you get your power back, because it seems like, and they admitted there's a disconnect between their customer service and their field. So they have to work on that part for them.
Come on.
But to answer your point specifically, their goal is for April, the beginning of April to start, with the finishing being the first quarter of 25.
So they, like Chauncey Goss said, there's plenty of boots on the ground, but no brains on the ground. So that extends to FPL too.
Well, it sounds to me like from that meeting that they're struggling with, they don't have issues anymore, at least what they told us with parts. It's the labor. It's finding people that are willing to come and work.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I think anybody that has a business can certainly understand that's some challenges to get people to come and work sometimes, but they've assured us that they've heard our concerns. They're going to work with them. We have a direct contact now between their staff and our staff that will work with them. If we have issues, we can go directly to them. So hopefully it's not all just lip service, and we can all work on the same page to get these people back in their condos, to get our street lights done, to get some of the other things that we need to get done. It's just a matter of understanding. Right now, I'll give you an example. Right now, you see at night, the south end of Old San Carlos is lit up, but the north end is not. Reason being is Bayside Park powers this first section of lights. The second section of lights, there's a transformer.
In Times Square.
It's not in Times Square, actually. It's in that little thing between Yucatan, that little driveway back to their parking lot. It sits right there. Well, where that transformer is and where they need to connect to it is 3 feet apart. You can't run anything overhead through there, so it has to be underground. So to be able to run a 3.5 or 4.5 foot piece of conduit to get that from there to there, which is the customer's responsibility and not FPL's responsibility, you have to have the landowner to give you the right to be able to do that.
And the landowner didn't give you the right?
Well, we're meeting with them at 8:30 on Monday.
But you probably didn't know that.
We didn't know
until-
that. We didn't
Okay.
know that. So
All right.
now we know.
So the whole thing with, I mean, I know I've said this and you guys out there have heard this, is FPL makes it sound like they're so for the people before the storm because they have trucks outside the hurricane, like, then they're ready to roll, and then they roll and they take pictures of the trucks rolling in. And now when we really need them, they're not here for you.
Well, a lot of the issues that we had through this meeting that we were talking about is FPL after the storm, they had no idea of whose service was still available, who's what. I mean, everything was destroyed. So they canceled the accounts. Well, if you had an account with them for 20 years, now you have to go through that whole account. Nobody knew that you had to do that. So that's one of the things that they're going to get us is here's the step-by-step to reset up a new account, because people like, I had an account. I didn't ask you to cancel my account. And they didn't want to charge you because even though that there's no service being used, there's taxes and fees that go into it. So they didn't want to charge their customers. So they just canceled everybody's account. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but that was a decision FPL made. So now if you had a service with them and you're coming back, you have to go through that
Crazy
process of setting up an account. Once you set up the account, you get a number. Then that number sends out to the field operators that says it's okay to come out. They've got their permit. They've passed the inspection. They come out. They've got the number now, but you have to have the account. Once we get that, we're going to share it with you. We'll share it with our social media. We'll share it with anybody that's willing to listen. Here are the steps exactly, easily how to do it to make sure that you're not dealing with, I got to call this person, then I got to call that person, then I got to call this person. We try to make it as simple as possible.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you have power at Town Hall yet, or is that still part of the whole?
We do not. We have temporary power. We have a generator, but we don't have permanent power. They've assured us that.
Wouldn't that be like an emergency? Town Hall doesn't have power. FPL, can you just send over the top guy?
Well, so I learned a little bit more in that meeting. So when you say you need service, you have to. It's not like they can just say, bring a transformer, hook it up. They have to do engineering work. They have to design a system that meets their safety protocols. And then once they do that, then you can come out and do it. Then you order the parts, then you do it. So They have assured us that by March 1st, we will have power at Town Hall, because
you'll
we
be
told
able-
them we have to be off the property next door.
Right.
So they've assured us by March 1st, they will meet the deadline to get us permanent power. And it's not just for Town Hall, it's all of Bay Oaks.
And so you'll be able to hold your meetings eventually in March, hopefully.
In the new trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things Frankie said, and I wanted to send you this in advance, so if you don't know, I totally get it. But he said there were 52 structures on Fort Myers Beach that are unsafe or that need to come down, or for whatever reason they're standing and their wires hanging out of it. Do we know when that list is going to be publicly available so people know?
That I do not know. I don't know if legally you can share that list, but if you can, I mean, if it's public record and it can be viewed by anybody, then so be it. But I don't know legally that you could do that. And I think there might be more than 52.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I know for a fact there were more than 52, but our goal with that first round of letters was to get people to at least communicate with us. Where are you at in the process? We've had several people communicate with us that we're this step of the process, or we're going to start this, or we're going to be here. And then we've had some that have just chosen to ignore us. Use the eyesore at the north end of the island by Pink Shell.
Yep.
Zero communication.
So he might be the first one that you make an example of.
I wouldn't say it's not an example. As Frankie said many, many times, our goal is to get people to come into compliance.
Yeah.
That property, we'll use that because that's the one I just mentioned. It has a fence around it, but you can see where people have pushed the fence down or climbing over and they're going into it.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to
Where are you
see
guys from?
Hey, they're customers.
Oh, cool.
I dropped them off.
You guys driving the cart? Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And they have shipwreck bags. So
Did you
they're
figure
out
out how to
shopping?
use a radio now? You're good to go? Did they let you play your music or?
Very nice.
So you didn't turn it off? It's all on it.
We love the audience participation all the time.
Absolutely.
Where are they from?
Good to see you. Is it Illinois?
Illinois, you guys?
Or
Illinois? Did you
Yeah.
just hit her on the bottom? Did you just hit your wife on the bottom? You did do that. That's not really. My wife would have just smacked me in the face if I did that in public.
Or give you a hug.
Wow. Good for you. That's a
My
happy
wife always
marriage
says
right
you
there.
got to keep it even.
Do you hit your wife on the bottom like that in public and get away with it? Was that okay?
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty. Believe it or not, for my size, I'm pretty quick. I know that I got to get out of the way. That back fist is pretty strong. No,
So what were we talking about?
I don't know. I forgot.
The structures. The structures.
No, so we just want people to fence them off. Do what you have to do. I cringe every time I drive by a specific property on Estero Boulevard that isn't fenced off. The windows are broken. There's shattered glass that's still sticking out, and people are allowing their children to climb
I
over
know.
that to take
It's
pictures.
crazy.
I
Yes, Sonny, get in there so we can take a selfie
I
of
know,
you
it's-
standing in the broken glass. You won't fall. It'll be okay.
Yeah, Parent of the Year award goes to.
Right.
I
So let's the whole pier thing, Dan, is getting a lot of attention. It's hard to figure out what's going on there, kind of. Like, my impression is the county's moving forward with whatever they're going to build, and they're going to get a design based on what FEMA will pay back, and maybe some resiliency. So it'll be bigger, it'll be wider, taller, whatever FEMA decides, as long as there's not going to be an additional cost. But the Let's Go FMB group wants a bigger pier than what it appears the county is willing to build. What is your take on the whole thing with the pier? What do you want?
Well, first, I think Alan and that group, and they have done a very good job of doing a lot of research and getting a lot of data and providing the data. Karen did an excellent job at the TDC meeting, as well as the council, as a commissioner meeting, presenting that data. All you can do is say what you want. Commissioner Sandelli always asks me all the time, what is it the beach wants? Well, this is what the beach wants. Okay, we'll see what we can do. But then what you want and what is affordable and what is realistic and what makes sense are two different things sometimes. They aren't always exactly, I want it, so therefore build it. Funding is
doesn't
always,
that make it confusing? Like, one of the things Roger Rabbit said back in the day was, think big, Bay Oaks, think big.
Right.
And then when it came right down to it, they thought big, and
Sure.
he said, you're getting little.
Well, as much as you want to blame it on whoever you want to blame on, yeah, you want to, anytime you build a house, you think, I want this. Okay, here's what it's going to cost. Okay, I don't need that,
Right,
and that.
right.
Right. And that's, you want to start big, and then you have to work back into what's a realistic.
What's a realistic answer for the pier, in your opinion? Where do you think it's going?
I think you'll get back at least what we had, but it'll be more resilient, probably wider. Will it be longer? as much as the pier is important and we are going to fight for exactly what everybody wants, I don't know that we know exactly what that is yet.
What does everybody want?
I think people are 100% agreement. They want the pier back.
That's right. As soon as possible.
Now, we'll see what the design firm that the county hired comes back with. Maybe they come back with something that's in the middle between what Let's Go FMB has worked so hard on and what the county has just started the process on. They haven't really had any discussions, as far as I know, on design.
Right.
That's why they hired a design firm.
Right. Which they haven't even approved yet. They won't approve the design company
Sure.
until April. So there's really nothing on the table. So
I think it's hard to talk about funding until you know exactly what the
True.
vision is.
Yeah.
And they've started that process. And I think most design firms will come back with good, better, best. This is kind of what we think.
Okay.
Here's a rough idea of a cost. And I'm just guessing, but I would assume they'd come back with, here's our rough idea. And then you go, just like any other development, you go through and you look at it and you're like, I like that, hate that. How much is that? Let's get rid of that. Let's add this. And then you'll finally funnel it down. And I think as long as we're allowed to be involved in those communications with the county, which they're open to having with us, and it's not egregious, at some point it does come down to money. We are one municipality within all of the Lee County. They have a bigger things that they have to work on as well. It's, if it comes down to the town has to put in $5 million, I just use that because I've seen that's the number floating around the town.
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to get my vote. I'll
Right.
tell you that. I mean, if the town had $5 million to spend, it wouldn't be to enhance the pier. There's so many other things. And that's not that I'm not for the pier.
Right.
It's just that $5 million, if
Could
that
go a
is a
long way.
number, it's hard for me to go ask a taxpayer to increase their taxes to pay for something when we're still dealing with drainage issues and other things like that. So it is a great asset for our community. It's a great asset for Lee County. They know it. We know it. Our residents know it. But at some time, you got to be realistic. And and they've even said, Lee, Let's Go FMB has said what they put out there is just a rendering. It's just a concept. It's not. We're not set in stone. It's not exactly. But we would like something more robust. We'd like it longer. And I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. And maybe it comes back exactly the height or the length, and maybe it's wider. We don't know. It's just at that beginning phase. But I think having the communication and having, the representative from the council go and make that presentation to both TDC and the county was the right move. I think it was the smart thing to do. And I think as long as both sides are willing to talk, eventually it'll hash itself out.
The thing that I found out and was really disturbing to me anyway, is you have a reserve fund at the TDC of $60 million. That's how much their annual budget is. And they have $60 million in reserves. Why are you collecting taxpayer money and not spending it back on the things that you're supposed to be spending? Now, I know you probably need some reserves, but $60 million in reserves, give the money back to the taxpayers or stop collecting it if you're going to keep that in your back pocket and not spend it.
It's certainly a very good question. Those reserves will come in handy now. Obviously, the town of Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel being the top two people, sometimes it goes back and forth paying into that fund. We just went through a devastating hurricane. Paying into that fund, we're probably not going to be the top two people paying into it this year. Might be Cape Coral, might be Fort Myers, might be Estero. We don't know yet. So it's nice that they have those reserve funds there. However, for me,
use them.
but for me, a bigger issue is, and I've said this all along, and I'll continue to say it and fight for it, is the most used beach access in all of Lee County is Times Square, but it's not considered in funding for TDC.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. There needs to be somehow that.
And I
needs
think
to
you
be
need to
changed.
address that before we start. If you address that, and if the voting members and if the TDC understands that we all agree that Pier was the most visited.
Well, I don't know if I don't know what
County,
I mean. I'm sure it was,
which is part of the Times Square beach
yeah.
access.
Yeah, I think that while Karen did a great presentation, she didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for a specific dollar amount. I at the end, she should have just said, and we're asking for $10 million because you got 60 of it sitting in your back pocket.
I think it's premature
Why?
to ask for a specific, because you don't know what that specific dollar amount is.
I mean, ask for something then, even if they come back and say, well, we're only going to give you 5, even though you asked for 10.
I think the ask was to please keep us in the consideration as the design goes
That's
along.
too nice. Please.
I don't think that's too nice. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's not the town's decision.
Everybody knows Fort Myers Beach contributes the most money to the TDC funds. Everybody knows that. Now it's time to give some of that love back to Fort Myers Beach. And
they did not say, again, I was in DC, so I couldn't attend the meeting, but if you listen to the meeting and you watch the meeting, they're open to the discussion, but where is that dollar amount without seeing a
Right,
design and understanding
I'm
exactly
with
what
you.
you're going to get and what it's going to cost. It's asking for something that you don't know what it's going to be yet is impossible.
Well, how do we get the Times Square thing on the front of the burner there so that they start considering Times Square more?
Well, I plan on bringing it up as an item at the next meeting.
And you're on the TDC.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
happen to not be there because you're in DC.
Yeah. So with the town of Fort Myers Beach actually has a voting seat on the TDC this year. It rotates year to year on the two top municipalities that pay into it.
Next time
So
you go to
it's always
DC
been
and you
same.
can't make the meeting or something, can I sit in for you? Because I'll freaking ask them for effing money. I mean, come on. Who's
I
the
know.
backup on that? Was it Karen?
There's not a backup,
Oh.
but Karen, I asked Karen if she would go to that meeting and present
Yeah.
up here.
She did great.
Jeff Hauge usually goes
Yeah,
to
he
that
was
meeting
there.
as well and
Yep.
and presents. I think
Jason
it's
was there.
important to
Yep.
go. If there's one thing that we've learned in the past, or at least I've learned in the past, is if you don't go and at least ask for help or
Right.
ask for money, you're never going to get
Look,
it.
John Lai and those Sanibel people are there all the time asking for money. And I'm not criticizing him.
Yeah.
He's ready to say, I mean, when I said to him, John, $60 million in reserves, Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach deserve some of that money now.
Yeah, and because of the restrictions, and I use the word restrictions because there's restrictions on what you can use that funding for. And that's why I go back to Times Square. Times Square is the most visited beach access on the island, but yet it's not considered for TDC funding. To me, that doesn't make
Right.
any sense.
Yeah, we're gonna need to work on that project.
Well,
So-
I plan on it.
Get on it, man. What's going on? Stop slacking it, will you?
If you actually go back, and here's something if you want to do, if you actually go back and look at the asks from the town of Fort Myers Beach over the last however many years, it's almost, to me, and it's irritated me for the last 4 years, it's almost like a copy and paste. It's this
Beach
is all they'll do.
renourishment.
No, it's new signs, it's garbage cans,
Oh.
it's beach access stuff, it's
Tiny things.
it's not tiny things. I mean, they still add up to a lot of money. Like
Really?
the TDC gave us funding for the new Palm Avenue bathroom. We can get money from them for the
All
Newton
right.
Beach bathroom if we haven't already. So there's things that are very, very important, but to be able to expand on that a little bit. And again, the answer could always be no, but if you don't bring it up and have a conversation about it, it's always going to be no.
All right. So yesterday, FMB Strong raised $10,000 with
That's
all
great.
those Afghans people were wearing. I mean, that was such a great idea, very unique idea. I didn't see you out yesterday.
I was out, but I was working. I was slinging
So you
carts.
weren't wearing one of those dresses.
I was not. I would have loved to have been involved with it. Anybody that saw Bruiser cruising around with
I
his
did see
cigar
it,
hanging
yeah.
out of his mouth, I've heard more about him doing that
Uh-huh.
than anybody.
I
It
love
was-
fundraisers and I'll do anything for this community, but I will not put a dress on.
We'll get you in one.
Yeah,
You-
never.
We'll get you.
I'm never
You
going to
said
be.
you were never going to wear the ugly sweater either, and you
That's
wore
a
the
little
ugly
different.
sweater.
You can never get too drunk enough to wear a dress. But you know what? I went to Nervous Nelly's and
There were some ugly Mrs. Ropers. I'll tell you
listen,
that.
there was when I went to Nervous Nelly's and I saw a couple of the guys in their dresses. One guy had pink lipstick on, and I was like, dude, you took this one just a little too far.
It was exciting to see so many people. You know, I talk to Heidi all the time and Eliza all the time about it, and they're like, "Are you gonna?" I said, "I'm not gonna be able to because I was running around all
Yeah.
day. I
Good
would
for you.
have I would have loved to have been involved, but I'm like, honestly, I've never seen one episode of the show. I don't even
So
know
long
who Mrs.
ago.
Roper is. I mean, but if
it took some education for me because I it's been a long time. So
I did swing through and I saw Lisa from Rude Shrimp under the pigtails and her roller skates on. I'm like,
oh no
was
kidding.
that a
Wow.
person from the show?
I don't think Mrs. Roper was at the age where she could roller
Yeah, I
skate
don't
back
know.
then. And back then it was 4 wheels instead
Yeah.
of 4 straight wheels. So
I was more into like Chips and stuff from that era. You know, the top
Chips?
shows. You know.
oh, okay, yeah. So what did you think of Toby Keith dying, man? It's been a horrible year for my favorite
Yeah.
artists,
You
Jimmy
know,
Buffett and Toby Keith.
You know, we were talking about that up in DC. It's like things seem to come in threes. You know, Carl
Yeah.
Weathers.
Yeah,
Toby
Rocky
Keith. It's
guy.
like, you know, no, it's sad. If you never had a chance to see Toby Keith, he was
Killer.
excellent. And I've always been a fan of whatever genre it is. If you sound like what I listen to on the radio when
Yeah.
I go to the concert, sometimes people use synthesizers and they do all this ding ding ding, you know,
Yeah,
stuff,
like
and
Taylor
it's-
Swift.
I don't
All
know.
fake
I have
stuff.
seen Taylor Swift, but
And
it was-
you've seen her in concert?
I have, yeah, not
Wow.
in concert, but
Oh, I was gonna say.
when she was Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift.
Oh, I see. That's
think
right. I
told
heard
you
that story. Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
She was just a 15, 16-year-old girl
Yeah.
sitting on a stool with her blonde hair.
Now, if
playing
you were doing a
guitar.
prop bet on the game today, how many times do you think they're going to show Taylor Swift in the
I
in
bet
the
that is.
suite?
I bet that is a Vegas
I'm sure
bet.
it is a prop bet.
I'll bet it is.
They bet on everything. Yeah.
I would say.
Where's Carissa? Where's she betting on? She's betting on everything.
I would. I don't. If I was setting the over under, my guess would be 6.
I was going to say 8. I was going to say 8.
Yeah, and I would probably take the over.
So. Yeah. So did we miss anything that you wanted to share about anything going on?
So our meeting with HUD, it was very informative. You know, we were up there to speak to them, and we thought we were just going to walk in and speak to one staffer or something. And we were in a room that's probably going to be the closest I ever get to the Oval Office. It was an Oval Office within the HUD building, which is like Fort Knox to get into.
Yeah.
But once you're in there, we sat down with some very knowledgeable staffers. There were 4 of them in there that took very detailed notes. We did learn, we were unaware, but we did learn that they did approve the action plan from the county.
Okay.
And there has already been one amendment to it. We haven't got the details of what those are yet, but we did not know that before going in.
So we're talking about the CBDGR money.
CDBGR. We also learned, I was not aware of it. You know, before the storm, most people probably had never heard of CDBG or CDBDR, right? So I honestly had never heard of it. But evidently back in late 2019, early 2020, the town did not stay involved with the county for the CDBG funding. And they asked us about it. They're like, why in, I think it was 19 or early 2020, why did you not stay involved with that program? You know, you're asking for money, but you didn't stay involved. And that was before any of us, whether it be Andy or myself, none of us were involved in that decision, and we didn't know about it. We will be involved in it now.
Cool.
We will make sure that we're going to get back involved in it.
For just for clarification, I guess we're not, Fort Myers Beach is not getting a penny of that money, right?
We don't know. It's too early in the process. You know,
Ding, 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 ding,
There you
ding.
go.
Drink
Oh,
up,
sorry.
everybody. That's number 2.
It's only the twice. It's only twice. It's still too early. You know, the action plan, we obviously made our points of what we thought, you know, economic revitalization for us is very important, and to not have anything in that bucket, we thought was a disservice to the county in general. We made our pitch. For whatever reason, it didn't get included. Doesn't mean it can't be included later, but we just wanted to go up there to share with them that we have we've been in great communication with the county. We agree with, I'd say 85 or 90% of their plan, but there's a small section of it that we don't necessarily agree with, that we think leaves the town of Fort Myers Beach and the city of Sanibel out of.
Right.
And that's the economic revitalization part. When you get into the money, I think it's 200+ million they have, I think, in the bucket for infrastructure. For us, it's hard for a municipality to make plans when it comes to infrastructure if you don't, and it's going to come in time. This is not an overnight thing. It's going to be a 4 or 5 year process, but 1.1 billion is a lot of money. We understand that we aren't going to get the lion's share of that because we don't meet the LMI requirements, but the other 300 to 350 million, that's a lot of money. And even a little chunk of that funneling into the 2 hardest hit communities
Helps.
It goes a long way. I mean, it just think if you had $75 million, that covers those SRF loans that I talked about at the beginning. So we see that there's money in there. We understand. We know there's been an amendment. We don't know what that is yet. So we just want to make sure that we have a seat at the table, that we have our voices are being heard. And the county has been great to this point, listening to us. They haven't agreed with us, which is their choice, but we just wanted to go talk to HUD to let them know that, you know, this is where we come from. We understand where they come from, but, you know, being the hardest hit area, you know, the deputy secretary was down on the beach and stood right beside me and said, "We've got money coming for you. Don't worry about it." And you know, that always scares me.
Has anybody seen the big red bus over by Seagrave Plaza? The owners of the big red bus are right here. Stephanie and Robert own the big red bus, and we did a nice walk around yesterday. It really is super cool to be in that thing. And
did you try the food?
No, there wasn't any food yet, but hopefully.
Are they gonna have Blue Moon?
I don't know, but the top part of the bus is so cool because they have seating and you can see the beach from where they have it parked.
It looks like it lifts up, like the whole roof lifts up.
The story about how they got it here and the whole thing is it's incredible. So, and they're going to open a new furniture store in the bank building. So
I didn't watch that video yet. Is that an actual English bus? Is that it is. I noticed there's a right-hand drive, but it is.
Oh, it's a right-hand drive. I didn't even notice
drive.
that. Wow. It's really a cool thing to get a tour of. So we appreciate you coming on, everybody. The mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. I'm going to introduce, you see, this is a downside to my wife not being here because I always have to go to the bathroom at halftime. So I'm going to introduce to you Ed Schoonover, who, by the way, could be a town council member. He wants to be a town council member, and he's going to read 2 ads. Go ahead, Ed.
I got it.
You got it, man.
Who am I reading first? Okay, Dorson's claims. Dorston's Claims is on their cell phone in their car right now, waiting for you to call. Mark Dorston. It's not too late. You can still collect from your insurance company. Do not accept the insurance company engineering reports. If the carrier denied your claim by saying it was all flood, call Mark. If your stilt house had to be demolished, call Mark. Your insurance company cannot close your claim. You can still dispute what you were paid, but time is running out. If you already have an attorney or a public adjuster, please ask them. I know there are a lot of people who sincerely believe they could get their claim paid only to end up being frustrated. So call Mark Dorston as a primary adjuster with Dorston Claims, 850-276-7326. Again, Mark Dorston is in his car waiting for his cell phone to ring at 850-276-7326. And there's Jorge is, wow, I get to do Jorge. I really feel special now. The real estate market is always changing. That is why it is so important to have a trusted realtor with local knowledge working for you. That realty is Jorge Barrera with Premier Plus Realty. Is Jorge here today? Jorge is almost always here. You may be wondering why the discrepancy in prices between some of the properties currently for sale. Jorge can answer that question for you. Jorge is the number one choice of many clients. He would now like the opportunity to earn your trust and be your number one choice as well. Visit his website for up-to-the-minute market activity at www.jorgeswflrealtor.com, or you can call him at 239-791-9893. Jorge is in his car waiting for his cell phone to ring at 239-791-9893. Jorge Barrera, your trust, his passion. And I did that perfectly. Ed's back. And by the way, for the rest of the show, if Ed says gotcha, that's the new drinking word.
You know, we didn't lose any of our audience, which is really nice that nobody tuned out while you're reading those ads. But just so everybody knows, Ed's wife, Janelle, is in Africa on a mission.
I think she's actually watching your show right now.
She is. Yeah. What time is it in Africa?
It's 8 hours ahead. So where are we at? It's like
8 o'clock at night.
There. Yeah, 8.
So she was sending pictures to my wife last night. She was on a safari, like all these lions out there. And she sent a picture of a lion that was eating a gazelle or some crazy stuff. Of course, my wife is a vegetarian, so she didn't really want to see animals getting eaten like that. But
I don't believe
it really
that.
was cool to see all those lions and stuff out. How come you're not out on a safari?
I didn't go this time.
How come you didn't go?
Well, I did. My wife goes about 4 times a year. I probably go twice a year. We do mission work out there with Outreach Africa. We've spoke about it before on the show, and we have too much going at home.
Yeah, you guys, if you've never seen Ed's pool, you should go by his house. Where you're on Lagoon Road, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
See, he's got the nicest pool now on all of Fort Myers Beach. It took 9 years to permit it, and he didn't obstruct somebody's house next door. He didn't obstruct the neighbor's house next door. He got total buy-in from his neighbors, right?
I did actually.
Yeah. That's a nice thing when your neighbors are nice to you.
Something like that passed. That's maybe a little controversial, is you get your neighbors to write letters, and I would give that advice to some people that are going through some struggles right now.
Yeah. Have you ever had a neighbor just walk out onto their porch and pee in the yard? Have you ever see that? Never mind. It's an inside joke.
I've done that before.
Okay. I didn't need you to admit that, Ed, but thank you so much for reading the Eds.
All right.
Ed, scoon over,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Is Joe here? Is Joe here? Oh, come on, Joe. I didn't know you were here. We've never met in person. So, ladies and gentlemen, Joe, I hope I say your name right, McInerney. Come on down.
How we doing?
Good, man. Appreciate you coming on the show. Ed Ryan, nice to meet you. So, Joe, you've been in the news a little bit lately, and do you live on the island? Tell everybody your history of.
I do live on the island. I've been on the island now for about 8 years.
Okay.
Originally from New Jersey, and by the way, that sticker's been in Jersey Shores for 20 years.
Okay.
But anyway,
For anybody that doesn't know, Joe's what kind of vehicle is it? Is it a Jeep?
Jeep, yeah.
He's got a sticker on the back of his Jeep. What does it say?
It says the locals hate you.
Okay, and so somebody took a picture of it, and it was on Wink News. Thank you guys, and it kind of blew up from there. Were you surprised that it blew up like that?
Well, the original picture wasn't actually of my Jeep. It was another blue Jeep
Oh,
that and they have it in block letters across their windshield.
oh, bigger, much bigger.
Some woman who was down here for 3 weeks from Michigan followed them into their driveway and took a picture of it, and that was the original posting.
Okay.
And then, of course, she's back in Michigan now, and she started a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, so I have this smaller one on the back window of my Jeep, and my wife was going to the goods to pick up something, and Wink News followed her into the goods.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah, they followed her into the goods, and they wanted to interview her. She refused to be interviewed, but she said, "If you follow me back over the bridge, my husband will talk to you."
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I said, I don't have a problem with it. Anyway, it's just that's how it all started.
And so it first got on Wink, and then I think I shared the Wink story, and then my wife was like, "You sure you want to do this? Sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Well, people have opinions on it. It's one of those things where, okay, it's a joke or it's not a joke, or it's some people got offended by." Well, everybody gets offended by everything these days, but do you really feel that way?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's like the dumbassery is
Yes.
people. They're the people I'm talking about.
Okay.
They're the people that
Be specific so everybody knows what you mean, because I know what you mean.
The guys that are driving 10 miles an hour under no matter what it is, they're driving 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. They're stopping on the bridge to take pictures off of it when there's traffic.
You saw that one,
2
huh?
miles. I saw that. I actually commented on it. I have a sticker for you. And,
yes, you do.
Yes, I do. And we saw a guy take out the whole cart thing at Publix last night. Just keep going.
What do you mean? Took out the
Took
car
it out
with his car?
with his car, his
Oh,
pickup
okay.
truck. It just kept right on going.
Yeah.
So
It seems like we get a higher percentage of dumbasses that visit Fort Myers Beach. There was one I posted last night that got stuck. There was a sign that said no parking, and he parked in the sand and got stuck. I mean, everybody previously would say, well, there's no signs that say no parking or no driving on the beach. So there was a sign that said no parking, and he parked in the sand and got stuck.
right next to the sign.
Right next to the sign. Yeah.
I have pulled 2 or 3 people out with my Jeep that everybody hates now because they had parked on the sand. One guy said, I was just trying to have a romantic sunset thing with my wife on the beach in my BMW.
Sure. Yeah. Why not just park it and walk onto the beach and have a romantic sit down on a picnic blanket?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like, and there's nowhere to hook up to with BMW, so I had to put it through his rims.
No
And
kidding.
drag him out.
Oh, well, you did a nice thing for a dumbass.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
dumbass. Yeah.
Did he pay it? Did he give you a tip?
Oh, my wife. She said you're going to pay for this. It's going to be costly.
Oh, good. Good for you. Is this your wife right here? I don't.
Yeah,
Well,
right
I mean,
here.
we talk on Facebook, but we never kind of saw each other in person. If we did, I apologize for not remembering. But that's my age. I have.
Well, actually, when I walked up here, you had already walked off, and the other guy was up here, and I thought he was you. And then I saw
Oh,
you walk
scooting
by. I'm
over?
like, I know that guy
Yeah.
from somewhere.
Yeah, I can't go a whole hour without going to the bathroom. Is that? You have a problem like that too?
60 years old. Of
Yeah,
course.
I hear you, man. We got kids in the audience now, so I'm not going to say anything nasty, any bad words
No, no
anymore.
bad
So thank you
words.
for bringing the kids here so much. How many kids do you have? 3? 3.
We're going to keep this.
Well, okay, gotcha.
We're going
3
to keep
kids.
this PG.
Yes, PG for sure. So, you guys, what made you guys come to Fort Myers Beach? Like, you're from New Jersey, but how did you land here?
Actually, we met here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we just got married. We got engaged during the hurricane because we
No
stayed.
kidding.
And
stayed?
We stayed
At your house?
on the condo. Yeah, and we were on the second floor, and the water was that high from coming over to our balcony.
When you see the water come up that high, are you thinking this was a dumb idea?
No, I think we need to evac upstairs.
Okay, you went higher.
and that's what we did.
Did you go to somebody else's condo or
yeah,
something?
we did actually.
Break in?
Their neighbor. Well, I had a lock on the door. I just got the lock off the door and
You shoot it off
went
with a
in,
weapon,
and
or
then-
you
yeah,
have a?
yeah. I shoot it off with 2 weapons. That one really going to be unpopular. No, we just broke it off and with a hammer, and
Okay.
it broke. They break easy, and took it downstairs, broke into it, and went in there. We were only up there for about an hour, and the water started receding at that point. So,
But when you see the water coming up that high, do you think, "Oh my God, it's never going to stop. It's going to come into our condo"?
yeah,
Come on the show.
I'm not prone to panic like that. I was in the Army for 4 years. I was
Okay.
an EMT for 10
Did you
years.
kill anybody in the army?
No.
Well, just between us.
Yeah, just between us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to refrain from.
What
comment
did you
on that.
see combat
I just briefly.
in Iraq,
No, I was way before that.
California?
Grenada.
Oh, Grenada! Holy crap! During the Reagan time.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Was it during the invasion?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and-
no, it wasn't. It was no big deal. I mean, more people got killed in riots a couple of years ago than
Right.
got killed in Grenada. But anyway, but I was an EMT for 10 years.
Okay.
So, I thought I'm not prone to panic. And the day after the storm, we went out looking for people.
Sure.
And we found people and we helped them. And
Did you find anybody that was no longer with us?
I have not found. We
Okay.
had 6 people that called us for help during
Okay.
the night. We went out and I found all of them alive.
Nice.
And when we went to Santini Plaza, and there was a woman with a broken patella laying in the mud, and her husband was there. She slipped in the mud and broke her kneecap. So
Because she stayed too somewhere down by Santini.
I think she was in Leonardo Arms.
Okay.
So
Well, Leonardo Arms. I mean, I don't know why anybody would stay there. That building is in the water to begin with.
They were already saying it was going to fall the next strong storm we had.
I know.
Stayed,
I'll
but-
never forget the guy from Leonardo Arms when they were trying to get sand way before the storm. He goes, "We're one big storm away from this building going in the water," and then slam.
Meanwhile, they did better than a lot of places.
True. Yeah. So you're finding people and you're helping people. And what were those first few days after the storm like?
Actually, the weather-wise, they were absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Like 2 of the most beautiful days
Yeah.
I've ever seen. And so it gave us a chance to take a breath, And we went out, we found these people, and like I said, they were all good. And then one guy was buried under his house, and he wasn't somebody I went looking for, but
He's still alive.
he's still alive. They thought he was dead, and I banged on the wall, and I heard
Okay.
like that. So 3 other guys were walking down. I couldn't do it myself. And
Sure.
3 other guys walking down. I said, "I got a trapped man back here. You want to help?" And absolutely. We dug him out, and he's still alive today.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a great story right there. I mean,
So-
crazy. Do you think those people that you ran into and communicate with today think they'll never stay again for a storm? Or because it was like, okay, there's going to be a storm. It's going to Tampa. It's not going to Tampa. We've heard about the waves before, and it just never happened. And it was kind of like false sense of security.
Yeah. No, I think some people still stay.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they cry wolf all the time. It's like up north. There's going to be the snowstorm of the century, and you get a flurry.
Uh-huh.
It's like they do it every time, and you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. Really.
Now, after the storm, did you guys wind up staying without the power and trying to suck it up and live it out as long as you could, or did you go somewhere else?
No, we stayed for 10 days.
Okay.
And we stayed for 10 days, and then we were basically forced off the island. We were told if we came out of our place, we were going to be picked up and taken across the bridge and not allowed to come back. And they suggested that we get our stuff and go. I said, "Well, where are we going to go?" And the guy says, "We have shelters." I said, "I'll tell you what, you pack your wife and kids up and come to the shelter with me. I'm on my way."
Yeah. I don't think I would ever go to a shelter,
No, come on.
but there were no hotel rooms from here to kind of Tampa.
This place was backed up. A really good friend of ours, that she was actually a bartender at Sky's, put us up for 4 months.
Wow.
And that was nice. She was a sweet person.
Yeah.
So shout out to her.
So you're rebuilding and everything, and you're back in your place. And
We're back in her, but we lost one window, and screens are messed up still. But it took over a year to get a window put back in there. But it's back in, and we're good. We're
Yeah.
good now. We didn't get back until February though.
Okay. And I know you really do appreciate the people that come down and spend money. And it was one of those crazy things when you're watching it take place. It's like you feel like you almost have to comment on everything, but you can't because there were so many. But people I think they took it too literally, like
But when
not knowing who you are.
Well, when I do comment on it, I try to be humorous about it.
Yeah.
I don't try to. I mean, I've had people threaten to, damage my Jeep. I've had people.
Come on.
Oh yeah. Yes. How's his paint? I bet it's not so good. Like,
Really? That's crazy.
And I've had people threaten to damage the Jeep, and I didn't actually not bring it here because
You were a little,
I was going to park it out. No, I didn't bring it. I did not bring it back
because you didn't want somebody to key
No,
it.
my mother-in-law broke her ankle and she can't
Oh.
get up in it, so we had to bring other cars.
How'd you break her ankle in the mud?
Oh no! It was more recent. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a snowbird. So the locals hate you, that doesn't apply.
Right,
You
right,
know what
right,
I
right.
mean?
No, I mean, and I don't think anybody knew the story about your history here and how you help people back in the storm, and that you live on the island. You're not.
Yeah, I lived. When I first moved down here, I lived on Sanibel for about a year, but I didn't come here as a tourist. I was never a tourist here.
Dude, you must have money. You live on Sanibel. You got a house on Fort Myers Beach. Where's your money come from? Not army money.
Been a plumber my whole life.
Okay, that explains that plumbers make money.
So
Can't survive life without a plumber.
yeah, I lived on Sanibel for about the first year, and then I moved over here, and I lived on San Carlos Island,
Okay.
and then I had a boat, and I was staying on my boat in Island Bay Marina on Pearl Street,
Mhm.
and met my wife, and I obviously wasn't going to stay on the boat
Sure.
during the storm, and so yeah, now we live on the south end of the island.
Nice. Very nice. So
Especially since I don't have the boat anymore.
you don't have what?
The boat.
Okay. You lost the boat in the storm?
Oh yeah.
Any insurance money from the boat?
Nah,
Of course not.
Because it was in the
Oh.
water during a named storm. I'm like, if I took it out of the water and put it on land, it would have been back in the water anyway.
It's so ridiculous, the insurance companies. Don't get me started on that. I know
Yeah.
if my wife is watching, she doesn't want me to get on the insurance companies again. So how do you think the recovery is going? How do you think the government's doing? How do you think
Well,
I mean,
I think that the government, and I'm not talking about the local government, although I've heard horror stories about the permitting process, but I think the federal government, I mean, if we sent 1/10 of the money we send abroad to here, we'd be recovered already.
Yeah.
We're well on the way. That's the thing that bothers me the most about people come down here. They're like complaining, well, this is a war zone. I'm like, we just went through a Cat 5 hurricane,
Yeah.
a little over a year ago.
it was a war zone a year ago, but not now. I mean,
No.
there's no rule book to fix something like that. I mean, you were here those days after the storm. You saw it was like a snowstorm on Estero Boulevard.
There
You
was
couldn't
no
get-
Estero Boulevard.
you
That was
couldn't
part
get-
of the beach.
Right. There was nothing but sand and debris and houses and beer bottles and unopened liquor bottles. I mean, it was just, there was no street.
Thank God for the open liquor.
I know,
bottles.
right? How many did you wind up looting? Just kidding. No, you don't have to answer that if you don't want.
As many as possible.
Oh, so go ahead. Well,
so
how
we
you-
put this one guy up, and because he was on the ground floor unit, and he stayed in the second floor of a house we knew, and which saved his life. And I went over there that next day, and I found 2 bottles of Tito's in the middle of Estero Boulevard.
Yeah.
I packed him in there, and I said, and he's a staunch Democrat, right? And I'm a Republican,
Sure.
but we get along,
Yeah,
Anyway, so he says, "Hey, Charlie, how's it going?" He says, "It's going great, but I'm out of booze." I'm like, "Hold on a second." I went, I got him a handle, and I took it up to him. I said, "Who's your favorite Republican?"
Yeah. I don't think any of the bars and restaurants really care that much that people were getting some comfort alcohol those few days after the
Actually, the
storm.
woman that owns Skies, she told us personally that the top shelf stuff is left. Go help yourselves.
So, what are your plans to? I mean, you retired or what do you do? Plumbers never retire, right? They probably get calls all the time.
It's like being a doctor almost. It's
Yeah.
you always got some friend that has a problem.
Right.
I'm,
Right.
Especially with this mess, I'm doing something for every day
Yeah,
almost.
good.
It's like, and I do work for a local restaurant bar, and I ain't going to mention their names for obvious reasons.
Okay.
But I do work for them, and he's a good friend of mine, and
Cool.
I help him out as much as possible.
So, what message do you want to give to the tourists and residents, the tourists and visitors that come to Fort Myers Beach?
Enjoy your stay, but stay out of the way.
All right. Drive the speed limit.
Do the speed limit.
Don't park in the sand.
And for the people that are, that are
Relax.
upset by that whole thing, it's like, I'm glad you respect my opinion that much, because you have to respect my opinion in order to be offended by it.
Right.
That's all I can say. It's like I said, it's all meant in fun. It's not.
Yeah.
It's nothing serious.
Now, but mentally, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. How are you guys doing? Like, you went through that hell. You saw the water. You saw all your aftermath of people being in pain and all that.
Right.
And, we cover it, but we weren't here in it. So it's a different story. Like people always say, they saw the pictures of the damage, but it doesn't do it justice until you come down here and see it in person.
All right. Well, I'll be honest. Wahoo Willie's was the first place open after the storm,
Right.
and we came down here and they had football on the TV, and it was so weirdly normal
Yes.
that I lost it. It's like I got a little broke up over it, And my wife ended up in the hospital for three days with panic attacks, afterwards. But yeah, we're recovering pretty well. It's just trying to keep it together.
Right. Day by day.
Day by day. It's all you can do.
And I think that what you just explained, a lot of people that stayed on the beach are going through the same thing. They're feeling the same way.
They are. I know. Well, this guy, Chris, that came from Miami. I don't know how he even got on the island, but first thing, the next day he was on the island, and he set up a canteen down at in front of Oliver's, and he fed everybody. He brought generators and everything, so we could charge our phones. He fed everybody 3 meals a day, every day, out of the kindness of his heart. Super great guy. Christopher Dulce is his name.
Okay.
I call him St. Christopher, the patron saint of pancakes.
You need a little things like that up and down the island.
It was nobody could charge their phones.
Right.
People back north or wherever they're from, people were panicked.
Yes, want to know what was going on.
And I used to walk down the street looking at my cell phone, and as soon as I got a signal, I'd stop.
Right.
Because if you walk 10 feet, you
right.
have a signal.
Right. I remember that. Yeah. Did you shoot any looters? Because that was legal back then.
Yeah. Well, actually, we put the laser on a couple of them.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They came out of nowhere.
They got off boats. They came in on boats, and they were in the building behind us. And we just put the laser on their chest, and they got the ID and left.
Yeah, there were more looters on this island back then than people realize, because they were like cockroaches back then. They just came out and they knew what was going on. For some reason, they must have some kind of.
Well, the first day I went out, I was carrying the first day.
Sure, yeah.
And,
you carrying now?
No. I'm not.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm safe.
I don't ever carry in bars.
Okay. Because drinking and shooting is probably a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Okay, gotcha. I'm with you, man.
And the Super Bowl Sunday. So
yeah, who are you picking tonight?
Whatever block I have.
Okay, that's what everybody's talking about. Nobody cares who wins. They just have a square on at least one in one bar. They have a square. Now, where will you go watch the game?
O'Leary's.
Okay.
Off the island.
All right.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to the Lighthouse. We're going to Margaritas, and I'm not a gambler anymore because I think I said this earlier in the show. I realized back in the day there's a reason why casinos never close, because bettors never win.
Well, I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And
the gambling capital of the world.
And the thing in Atlantic City, the thing in New Jersey is Atlantic City is not built on winners.
That's right. All right, Joe. Well, thanks so much for telling your story, and thanks for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe McInerney, a resident of Fort Myers Beach and a really good guy, man. Thank you very much for coming on. All right, everybody, before we get out of here, I want to make sure, did you read all the ads, Ed? You read Dorson and Jorge. I think I read, I don't know what I read earlier, but I'm going to read. Oh, I need to tell everybody about this this thing that's going on. I'm going to repost it close to the top of our Facebook page, because you can go online right now and purchase tickets for this Game of Chance. 2 3-day, 2-night stays at Gull Wing, 4 sets of beach chairs, 2 4-seat golf carts provided by Island Carts FMB, 4 $50 gift certificates to Fresh Catch Bistro, free entry to Lovers Key State Park. This is all part of the Lovers Key Gala event that's coming up at the end of the month. It's $25 for 1 ticket, $100 for 5 tickets. And after the show, I'm going to post that link so you can buy it. If you scroll down 5 or 6 stories, you'll see the link where you can purchase the tickets. But you're going to have a good chance, because we're going to be drawing the tickets, I think, in 2 weeks. The mayor's going to draw 2 weeks here at Wahoo Willie's. So please help support Lovers Key. And for those of you that missed the earlier part of the show, March 2nd, at the Women's Club property at 175 Sterling is going to be Stephen Clark and Chasing Denver, and that's going to be a fundraiser for the Women's Club. We're going to have food trucks on the property, and it's going to be from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock. And we'll obviously have more information this coming week as we post it all on Facebook, and we're going to do a fundraiser tomorrow to pay for the expenses, and then you'll be able to buy a ticket to take care of your parking. So all that's coming up during the week. So the last ad I think I need to read, Ed, because you were supposed to take care of it, is overall outdoor services, I think, is our... Oh, I read that yesterday. Never mind. I think we're good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And we will be back Saturday at Margaritaville is where our show is on Saturday. I'm having a Joe Biden moment. I can't remember where my show is on Saturdays. The mom got it. The kids didn't. And we have some meetings coming up. The LPA meets on Tuesday, I think, and then the town council meets on Thursday. So we'll see you all. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.